welcome back to Children Matter again today with Katie-Jayne, and I'm joined today by the amazing Chris Baldwin. Hello, Chris, how are you?
Oh, yeah, not so bad, thanks, and you?
I'm good.
Good,
It's been a busy day today, but it should be a good day, so all's good.
Okay.
So, first of all, I want to talk about what got you into this.
I got into this in 2016 with a poor lady called Melanie Shaw. So, yeah, it was kind of like that got me into it. And then kind of like doing a lot of digging since, to be fair. And then obviously recently with the Ellie Williams thing that's going on with this poor lass at the minute.
So, I mean, Ellie Williams has been brought up a couple of times on Children Matter, but what's your view on Ellie Williams, on the case and the situation entirely?
To be fair, I think it's sad. I think it's sad for especially the people of Barrow. Not just Barrow. I think like you've got like the Rotherham, anywhere up and down the country where this vile pandemic's happening at the minute. I think communities needed to get behind the families and behind the girls, and stop all the negativity. This girl, for whatever her past has gone on, and to be honest, that's not really my concern. My concern is, this girl's in prison for something that she had no control over. I feel that's my personal opinion, and I think she's getting punished not just by the local police up in there, but I think the community, some of the community as well. I think the community at Barrow needed to get behind the family, behind their supporters, and start raising a voice and making a noise, to be fair.
Sorry, I've got to tell you, I can put the comments up on the screen. Sorry.
That's okay.
Robert Blakeson, LA Steel, say hello as well in the comments and good luck.
Hiya, guys.
Not that you need it. We were a few minutes late today just because we were having a general natter and a general chinwag about everything, which, it's the best thing. Jimmy the Hat's also over on Facebook watching as well. So everyone watching, don't forget to give it a like and don't forget to share. Sorry. You've got the elephant on your jumper. Would you like to explain a bit about the elephant? Because the elephant symbol's being seen everywhere and it's not something I've touched on yet.
Well, that's my group, a Saka group, and that's, I've got to try and get this over now, whichever way it is. That's the Ellie symbol. You'd have to ask, to be fair. I've only just know it, obviously, it representing Ellie. What the meaning behind the elephant is, to be truthfully honest, I haven't got a clue, but I'm sure some of the members out there that's listening will have a better understanding of the elephant.
I think I've seen somewhere actually on one of Ellie's pages that one of her favourite animals was an elephant.
Oh, there you go then.
I believe so. I'm not too sure, but I believe I've seen it somewhere. I believe it was one of her school teachers that designed the elephant logo originally. But again, I'm not 100% sure. It's just something that I think I've seen in passing.
Oh, brilliant.
So what does Saka represent? Sorry.
It's a society against child abuse. So this was a group that was started with 4 members of another group, and I was feeling that the group we were in wasn't really doing much, to be truthfully honest with you. I thought a little bit more could be done. So I spoke to the 3 girls that were also admin of the Saka group, and I said, look, let's, you want to do more, so let's do our own group. Let's rebrand it, rename it, and let's go and see what we can do. So although the 3 other girls, Ree, Kaylee and Fiona, they're still to do with the other groups that we were a part of. We all come together, and that's how Saka was born, to be fair.
That's brilliant. Robert Blakes has put in the comments that it was Ellie's favourite animal and favourite colour, purple.
Cheers, Rob. I knew you would come up with something.
So obviously there's something that you wanted to plug as well today, and I want to plug that now just so we can go into the importance of this event and obviously
of course.
cars in general. So I'd like to plug the event, and I'll put it up on screen as well for you.
Yeah, let me just know. Yeah, we got a demo in Preston on Bank Holiday Monday, which is the 31st of August, obviously 2020, and it starts at Preston Town Hall at 12 o'clock. Obviously, anybody that wants to go, try and get there half an hour earlier, so we can just get the, try and get the numbers up really, just to support not just obviously the Ellie Williams cause, but obviously all children, all girls, boys, that's been affected from abuse. So we really want the numbers there. We really want to we want to make a noise now, and I know like the Justice for All group that we've got all the groups, as many groups as we can, banded together. We're all singing from the same hymn sheet, and we all want to make a noise and try and get justice for these poor children and the victims of sexual abuse.
Well, this is what it's about, isn't it? So what's happening exactly on the 31st? Is there a court hearing that day, or is it just a protest?
No, it's just a demo. So obviously we'll get there and get the numbers there. I know Robert has got some speakers that are coming. So that will be mentioned obviously in the next week or so, because I think he's still trying to get a few speakers there, and then obviously we'll do a couple of minutes silence, obviously, for the victims. So, and then it's just a gathering, just to get our voices heard and get us out there, really. Do you know?
So why is it important for everyone to come down? I mean, even people who, from my point of view, even people who aren't aware of the case, aren't aware of the situation, or have, are on the fence about the whole situation in general. In my opinion, I think these are the people that firstly should be going to these causes to find out and get the answers to the questions. But, what's your opinion on it?
Yeah, exactly. But I think also, even ones that are just in the group, just watching, I think people need to stand up now. I think enough has been done now, where it's not just one or two cases now. These are quite happening quite regular now. Even like with the Rotherham one now, that's spiked up again. A lot of people are just sat back and doing nothing. These children, they need a voice, and they need us to shout loud now to get more people listening. I know obviously like yourself and Jimmy in the past has done a lot, and I think all of you, every single one that have done demos in the past and done protests in the past and marches, I think it's time now that we stood by you all and got out and actually done something. Like I said, these children need voices, and justice needs to be served.
100%. Well, this is the importance, isn't it? I mean, we've been out there for a while. It's like before the live, you recognised me.
Well, yeah, this is what I'm saying. It's people like yourself and people like Jimmy, who have done videos over the last. Well, I've been watching them since 2000. Like I said, 2016, I think. I started in when Melanie Shaw was in Styles, and I was watching stuff, and then obviously she got transferred from there to Rampton. So it's in that year. So I think it was 2016. I'm sure if Jim is watching, he can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was around that time. So although there was an handful of people standing by even her and her poor situation, bless her, I think a lot were still, like you said, sat on the fence and not knowing what to do or where to go.
Or what to believe.
Exactly, and I think the problem is it's easier said sometimes than to kind of like smoke screen the stuff to make it not as bad as it comes across. And then when you start reading into each case, because each case, although it's got a similar path, is exactly the same in a different, And I think once you start reading the history of each one, whether it's Mel Shaw or whether it's Ellie Williams or whatever child, bless, that's been a victim of this, yeah, I think we need, as parents, as adults, they need our help, and the only people that can give these help is us. People like yourself, Jimmy, Robert, and the rest of us. Do you know what I mean?
100%. I mean, responsible adults, people who consider themselves mature adults, responsible adults, or just human beings in general. We should be standing united, hand in hand, for the children. We shouldn't see mums and dads battling against each other. We shouldn't see, we shouldn't see this battle against one another when we should be focused on the children. And the fact is, the authorities are not focused on the children. They're focused on finances. They're focused on keeping their dirty little secrets hidden away in the closets. And it's coming back to hurt our children. And we can see now with the fact that we've got a 19-year-old girl who's clearly been battered, scarred, abused, and God knows what else. I'm just going off what's online. And,
yes.
This shouldn't be the case. Sorry.
I think we both, I think we both have been, both have been affected by not just her story, but like I said, there is like your Mel Shaws, and there's other ones out there, victims that have been affected and are either too scared, too frightened, don't know where to turn to,
or even too naive. I've noticed that as well. It's like when it came out about Victoria Golia, the 15-year-old who was killed decades ago, who should have turned 31 this year. I was sure when that came out, when there was a planned demo out there and it had been put out everywhere, everyone was going to come out and stand up for Victoria Golia, for truth and for justice. I was expecting to see everyone there. I was expecting to see the whole of Manchester there, especially from the forced adoption side of the family, because this is a child in the care system who's been neglected and abused by the state. It's been allowed to happen. They knew it. They had evidence there. It's all in their case files and everything that was going on. And there wasn't nowhere near as many people there as you was expecting. And you sit back and you think, do these people not realise that this is children it's happening to?
To be fair, I think the last big case where a child was hurt or murdered, and you're going back now, is when the last time you seen this country united against a child was, I think the last one would have been maybe James Bulger. I think where literally Liverpool was out in force fighting for it, and I think a lot of people now, it's so easy to sit back, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? To sit back and maybe, somebody else will do it. They're doing it, so why do we need to do anything? And I
makes you wonder where that British community's gone. People come to Britain to visit, to experience the culture, to see that type of British community and culture that we used to have, where you couldn't walk down your street without everyone knowing who you were, asking if you were all right, being stopped several times for a quick conversation. Now no one seems to care.
That's my point entirely. I think we can look at the police, we can look at social services, we can look at even the government, say, but I still think the root cause of it is communities. I think communities got a lot to answer for. It's easy to walk down the street, isn't it, and kind of like ignore Billy coming the other way without saying hello. Do you know what I mean? And know who that person is, and sadly, that's how this country has got. It doesn't make no difference whether it's a massive city or whether it's a little village, like from where I'm coming from. Even the small areas where I live, I used to literally, I could not walk anywhere without somebody saying to me when I was growing up, "Does your mum know you're out?" But like you walk through the village now, and I wouldn't know anybody probably. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you entirely.
And it boils down to as well, though, with the care system. I think, you've got to blame the likes of, because they're not mentioned very often, but you've got to blame the likes of like CQC, social services, the safeguarding, the whistleblowing setups in this kind of thing as well. And they're not talked about that often, to be fair. Working in care since 2010, I've dealt with CQC a couple of times, and it's quite shocking. And I've worked in care across the board, from elderly to adults with learning to with kids, and it's quite shocking how sometimes CQC have come into an home and they will turn their blind eye to even the smallest information. Do you know what I mean? Rather than deal with it, and that's the most heartbreaking thing about it.
We've seen it a couple of times. We've got one of children matter admin is actually an NHS worker. Well, he was an NHS worker. He was a partner with the NHS, and he started blowing the whistle. And what he's been experiencing is where they've been lack of PPE, or where they've been putting them in dangerous situations where it's not just hazardous to them, but hazardous to patients during surgeries as well. And you're seeing it more and more in every single aspect of the government and the state, where normal citizens, everyday citizens, are being neglected and mishandled and mistreated, ignored and abused to an extent as well. I mean, even in the case with Ella, the system have allowed the abuse to continue because it benefits them, and then thrown her into a cell because she was detrimental to what they were doing.
I think don't you find though it's easier to kind of like put a plaster on, like, and try and hopefully it'll cover it up instead of dealing with the infection that's happening in each community. If you read every story, especially with the police and that and social services, they don't want to acknowledge anything that's happening, whether it's down to being scared or they just can't be bothered with it. For whatever reason it is, nobody knows what reason why they choose to cover it up. But they should be dealing with it. They should have supported not just Ella, but a lot of them. They should be getting support, and this is where we're failing, aren't we? Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, this is why it's so important that everyone stands up, or at least does something in their own way. It's like we were saying about different people putting different talents to different use. I mean, everyone has a purpose, everyone has a skill, everyone has the ability to do something. Everyone can do nothing, but why not try and do something? You know what I mean? Like, in my point of view, if I can do one thing, even if it's small, in a day, that benefits my kids, whether it's now or in the future or at any point, or even just, the next generation, then I don't see why I shouldn't see that as an obligation to do it.
Yeah, I think, to be fair though, I think especially like say in my little community then where I am, the likes of like I said, the few names we've already touched on. If you went out in my community or areas even around where I live, they would have never heard of these girls. Do you know what I mean? Whether they choose not to or whether they just generally haven't heard. And this is the kind of like small areas that need to be like targeted more, to get the awareness out. To be truthfully honest with you, is with big cities and that, the word spreads more quicker, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? So say if you were living in Manchester, if you were out in the streets, and you probably would have said to your friends, I don't know, oh, that poor girl from Barrow, blah de blah, and then they're like they kind of like listen, and then the word spreads. Where I'm from, it's probably a lot harder because a lot of people choose to just get on with their normal day lives. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. I mean, I was actually in Preston not long after I found out about the Ellie case and everything. It was just before I was going to her court case. And I was talking to this lass, never met her before. She's a lovely lass. I've been speaking to her since, and she actually brought up Ellie to me. And I was like, oh, I was shocked because normally outside of the campaign live, no one tends to acknowledge what's going on. And we got into a big discussion about it. We ended up talking about not just that situation, but my personal situation, about different campaigns, about my kids' campaign. We got into a discussion about everything. And now she spoke to me and opened up a bit about that. She opened up about something that someone close to her has been through, which is similar to what I've been through. And it opens up that network, and it starts just them little conversations show that there is unity, that there is a community still there as well, which encourages the other person to do it as well. So I encourage people to talk and to build a community because there's nothing better.
Well, to be fair, it's important as well, especially say with the grooming gangs, and let's just touch on that just quickly, because it's happening in I think all major cities now. I think once it starts happening in the little villages around the UK, it's going to be harder for the people in them communities to wonder what to do or to talk about it. So I think it's important now to get the information out before it happens. Do you know what I mean?
100%. Jimmy's put a message over on Facebook. I've put it up on the screen as well. I've had to copy and paste it in, but I don't mind doing it. About the next demo that's coming up in Nottingham as well, because there's a Nottingham demo on the 22nd of August, where there's veterans are putting something together for child abuse survivors. I don't know if any of Voice for Elliot will be going down there or not.
Yeah, I think there's a couple that's going down. I have put it on. I've put it on my group, and I know a few of the Justice for All. I think if Robert's still on there, I think he might have put it on the wall as well. So it's being advertised. Yeah, we are plugging it. So hopefully a few of us will try and get down there. Do you know what I mean?
Bear with me a second.
That's okay. So let's just hope they got the numbers down there. I hope they have.
I know I'll be going down. Veteran Tim Scott actually asked if he could pick me up to take me down. So yes, I'll be there. Definitely. I've sent a few messages out as well, because a couple of people who were putting it together, Dean, for example, actually met Dean in Green Park last year.
Okay.
Don't know if he remembers me or not, but purple tiny person is very hard to miss sometimes, especially when she's got when she's a massive gobshite. But yeah, I'm hoping to hear back from them soon, because I have got in touch with them before in the past. But that touches a bit on what we were talking about before the live started. But yeah, people are starting to see it now. People are starting to wake up and help the kids now, which is the amazing thing. I'm just hoping everyone comes together in unity for it as well.
It's crazy though, because it's like I've been looking in the separate groups, and like at the minute I've only gone through separate groups, so I've been looking at each group, and there's like so far I've counted 27 separate groups for children, and like there's 125,489 people in total on these groups.
Well, if you have a look, if you want to add more to the numbers, type in forced adoption.
Yes, well, I'm going to start once I've got these banged out. Now I'm just going to start looking at a lot more, just to see how many there is, and trying to...
If you type in forced adoption, you're going to come up with hundreds of them.
Is it?
And I mean hundreds of them. The amount of times I've been banned off Facebook, I join different groups every time I come back up. But know that there are loads. You literally just type in forced adoption, and it'll bring you up so many different keywords for the different groups. It's one of the things I used to say all the time when I first started this was, if you don't believe it's happening, type in forced adoption anywhere. Facebook, YouTube, Google, wherever you want to do it, and you'll find it. If it doesn't exist, how come there's so many different cases? And it's the same with what's happened to Ellie as well.
Well, it's like you said earlier, isn't it? I think, like we both touched on before we come on air, I think all I would love is for every single group, because we're all fighting for the same cause. The cause is no different. It's just a different name to each group. If we were just to all, like you said, be an adult and come together as one, it would be surprised how much power there would be behind that one group, wouldn't there? Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I hear, I don't know if you know the name Richard Inman.
No.
Well, he's one of them British patriots, you know, for Britain, for country, for land, that side of the family. I like saying family for campaigns because for me, everyone is a family. We've all got our own roles, even if we don't get along.
Okay.
But yeah, he's from that side of the family. And one of the things he always says in his protests, he actually did the Hearts of Oak one yesterday in London. And one of the things he always says is, "Where are the men of England? Where are the men?" I have a better one for obviously children matter and for our side of things. Where are the parents? So that's what I want to know. I want to know, where are the parents? Because our kids have been in danger. We've lost kids. How many more kids do we have to lose? How many more kids have to go through it all? How many kids do we have to? How many kids have to be brutally tortured and murdered? And we had an absolutely amazing lady come on and speak to Sharon Binks a couple of weeks ago called Barbara, whose son was not just murdered, but butchered, decapitated, put in a box and put on her doorstep, that she had to carry in and put in on her kitchen table while she phoned the police because she couldn't leave him outside. You know, the amount of kids that we're losing and the amount of different ways that we're losing them, and no one's doing anything about it, especially not the authorities. We need to start standing up and doing it for them. And we need to start looking around and start asking ourselves, are we parents? Are we going to stand up for the kids? It doesn't matter if we're going to be late doing it, as long as we fucking do it. As long as we stop it from happening to anyone else. So what if you weren't here last year? So what if you weren't here 5 years ago? So what if you weren't here 10 years ago to do it? Doesn't matter if you're late to the fucking party. It matters that you show up. It matters that you stop it from happening to anyone else.
It's the here and now, isn't it? It's the here and now. I think what shocks me more where parents are concerned, especially more so now than ever, I think it's easier for a parent to give a child a phone. It doesn't make no difference. And it is surprising how many young kids have got them at an early age. They just give them a phone, set them up with different sites, and just hope, because they're quiet in the corner, there's not a problem. And without even checking their phone, that just baffles me. That just rages me more than anything. Because I think, what the fuck are you letting your 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old child have a phone without even checking it? And then...
This is the thing. It goes younger than that now.
Yes.
When I was pregnant with my son, his dad's cousin or whatever it was, her 9-month-old child had a phone in a toy.
But what narks me is you'll guarantee, if not now, 5 or 10 years time, you will have a parent come on one of these forums or come on Facebook or talk to their friends. My daughter's got a phone and a strange man or a strange woman or a strange somebody has been messaging and we don't know what to do. What can we do? And I'm thinking, well, fucking put a parental pin on there, or there's many ways.
To be fair, I was one of them kids. I mean, I wasn't one of the young kids that had technology. I was an older teenager when I had the technology. But I had creepy guys messaging me from different countries. This is when I was in Germany, and I was what you would call a pads brat. You know, my dad was a soldier. We lived in soldiers' quarters over in Germany. And, you know, I had fucking strange people talking to me. Difference was I had that open line of communication with my dad, so I'd tell him and he sorted it out for me. Or showed me how to sort it out as well. So if there was ever a case where he wasn't in and there was people on there, then I knew how to do it myself. But luckily, I wasn't a young teenager. You know, I wasn't 11, 12-year-old. I was about 15-year-old. I was about 14, 15. So it wasn't much age difference, but I was about 14, 15. And it was my computer that I used to do my schoolwork on. Because I was in Germany. I did have social media, so I could stay in contact with my family back in the UK.
Yeah.
You
Do you
know,
not think? Do you not think though that especially kids nowadays, because they're a lot older than their actual age, I think they think, oh, it's okay, it's they're a friend of mine, so then they start talking, and then they get in deep, and then they don't know what to do to maybe get out of it, and then frightened of talking to their parents about it.
well, this is the thing. I think we all as a society and a community have a part to play in that.
Yeah.
I do, because I think we're trying to evolve too much, and we're trying to evolve and mature our children too much and too fast. It's been debated, like, I can't mention names, I won't mention names, but within my family, at some point, somewhere in my family, it's being mentioned that about getting one of the under 10s a mobile. Both me and the parent are just, I straight away like, no, that's not happening. It's not right. It's not old enough. We can't even read. Why you should have a phone. But I think we are as a community, because I think we're all like trying to mature our kids a bit too much. And I think in a lot of that instances, it comes down to modern parents not being asked to give the kids the attention that they need.
Yeah. And this is what we were talking about going back earlier on, isn't it? It all boils down to your community, what's going on in your house, as well as the authorities, isn't it? I think it's easy for all of us to kind of like blame the authorities, go to like say we blame the police, we blame social services, we blame this, we blame that, instead of actually taking stock and looking at ourselves as parents.
Yeah. It's like even from the forced adoption point of view. I mean, forced adoption has been going on since 1934. It's something that's been a regular thing, and it's just upped its game ever since. But if you go back a few decades, if you take the parents that were going through it then, and other parents within the communities that were being targeted, for example, take my estate, for example. I was targeted, across the road, her kid was targeted, everyone else is fine. If all the other ones who've seen me, for example, here for years, they know exactly who I am. They've seen me with my kids years before social got involved, but then stood back and did nothing when, they could have easily have turned around and gone, well, hang on a second. We know for a fact, we've seen with our own eyes, this, that, and the other. And a community of parents could have pulled together to stop that from happening. Obviously, if you take that back years ago, and if people did that as a whole, something like forced adoption might not even exist now.
Yes. I totally agree. And do you not think though, as a mum that's gone through it, do you think the changes are easily to change, or do you think because of what's set in now that it would be kind of hard to try and change everything?
I think if you got the right people in there, I think it could get changed relatively quickly and relatively smoothly, because the laws and the legislation are already in there. They're already in place. The difference is there's too many loopholes that the system used to its advantage. I've seen it for myself. Behind me, I've got the family law guide, and it's what the courts have to go by. And you can read through one paragraph and you can see about 6 or 7 loopholes in it. And you're looking at it and you're seeing, well, from what you're reading, it looks like you can't do it unless there's this, this, and this. But then there's loopholes, so that it doesn't even matter if you've got anything there. Risk of future could work. So, for example, in family court, social don't need to prove that you have done something, just that you could.
Yes.
The parents have to prove, and I use the word prove, that they would never, under any circumstances, at any point in the future, do whatever they're being accused of doing. Now, sounds all well and good, doesn't it? To an extent. Sounds dodgy as shit, but it sounds like you've got to at least have something there. If you ground your child, it's classed as false imprisonment, and you can lose your child, and it's also crime, results in your child being taken away, classed as child abuse. If you grab your child to pull them off falling something, off touching something hot, or out of the way of something that could cause them harm. That's also child abuse. It's physical endangerment and physical abuse.
Don't you think though? It's gone too far the other way now? It's gone. It's because it's gone from somewhere like, it used to be acceptable to, and I'm not saying it's acceptable, but it used to be acceptable to smack a child on the legs or tap him on the bum, and then you had the people that would outcry and say, that what you're doing's wrong. You should be to talk to a child, or kind of like do it this way. So like the do-gooders have got in, and it's changed it to the extent where it's gone too far that you can't even rough play or fight with your child now without being maybe accused of doing harm or hurting them. Do you know what I mean?
Like, I mean, I'm one of them. Like, I was lucky with my kids and the having toys taken away from them. I mean, don't forget, my kids were only about 3 at the oldest, but before they got taken, and I only needed to take toys away from them, so I was never put in a position where I needed to physically discipline them. However, my nephew of the same age of my son, every now, like, he used to try and grab knives, he used to try and grab stoves, and the only thing to stop him would be a tap on the fingers. So tap on the fingers, tap on the bum, especially if it's padded areas or anything like that, I don't see a problem with. It's it's the sense of shock out of something that would have been worse, like sticking fingers in a plug socket. I'd rather have had my fingers slapped than have actually stuck them in the plug socket myself. There's a line, a barrier. Obviously, I don't agree with if you slap kids in the face. That's abuse. In my opinion, there is different. You got to look at it individually, I suppose. I'm not one that I don't agree with physically disciplining a child. Not to say that I disagree with it neither, right? Because everyone is different, and there are different circumstances. I got a smack on the hands. I got a smack on the bum. I got a smack on the back of my legs when I was growing up. Never did me any harm. It stopped me from putting myself in dangerous situations, like plug sockets, like stoves, like kettles.
Yeah. But it's all down to common sense now, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? There's abuse. There's abuse and there's abuse on what, say, social services would call abuse, and then there's abuse that maybe me or yourself would kind of like call abuse. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if you smack a kid to the point where you leave a bruise or a mark, I think you've gone too far. Then
yes. Yes.
That's my opinion. If you're going to smack a child hard enough to leave a bruise or a mark, then you've smacked as if you've smacked an adult.
Yes. And this is what the problem is. I think this is where they need to pull back and go back to the drawing board, basically, don't they?
Yeah.
And start looking at it, because like even if a child falls over at home and stuff, and they got like a cut head, like when we were growing up, you used to go to the hospital, maybe get stitched up, go home. Now, if you take a child to the hospital and it gets cut because it's fell over on the patio or in a play area, they kind of like contact social services on the background, and then so and so, and keep records of it. I just find it all ludicrous and mad. To be fair, I just think it's crazy.
The thing, if the communities were there and the social were there, I mean, obviously we've been using a couple of different examples. We've not got off topic of Ellie, because all this does come under the topic of Ellie.
It does.
Yeah. So I'll just wait to put it out there that there is a greater conversation out there with this, because obviously the kids are being targeted in every single which way. And if these small things like the community, like social, like the state, like the police were actively working as they were supposed to, Ellie would never have been in this situation.
Exactly, and what you just pointed out is fact. At the end of the day, it's not just about an Ellie or whoever. It's about the bigger picture, isn't it? this all comes into one umbrella, really. And I think people forget about it. I think people kind of like, they kind of like pull themselves off one. They don't class it as being all together in one. Maybe they kind of like go, oh, that's a different subject to what you're discussing. Well, no, it ain't. If you looked into it more and kind of like got into it properly more, then you would see it all comes under one, and it all affects a child in whatever way, whether, like you said, whether it's community or whatever. And if the communities were more tighter, maybe, just maybe, there might not be a bigger a bigger problem with, say, grooming gangs as there probably is now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Because everybody kept an eye on everybody, and I think we've lost that, and we need to get back to it. Really, we need to get back to basics, all of us.
I mean, I do understand to an extent. Obviously, the groups keeping their identities. I mean, it's one of the things with Children Matter is, as I was saying before live started, all the admin of Children Matter have their own groups, have their own thing, and Children Matter just helps them do what they do. And and sometimes they do it on air, sometimes they just do it on their own. And it's like you said, an umbrella. I mean, I see it more of a spider web because we've got all our own identities, we've all got our own fights, but right at the centre is, well, our target, what we need to hit, the state, the cause of every single one of these groups.
That's actually a good way of looking at it. I've not thought of it out before, but that's kind of like a good way to look at it.
I mean, the groups keeping their identities, I do think it's important for everyone to keep their identities, just like Justice for Ella. I mean, if everyone came together under one name, then Justice for Ella, my kids, the other kids who've got these groups they'll all get washed under one. So the groups having their own identities is really important as well. I was, everything you just said there, I said myself a couple of months ago.
Yes.
And it was only when I had this deep conversation where I thought, actually, you know what, if it was Children Matter, which, my kids are under, and it was put under one group, my kids would more than likely get, washed under the carpet. My kids aren't kids that have been abused. My kids aren't kids that have been, groomed or anything like that. They're just kids that have been stolen and sold on to strangers, So my kids would probably get washed under the carpet just like everyone else. And keeping the logos, keeping the names, keeping the identities, it gives everyone individually that boost and that push to unite everyone, bring people together, push, but also keep their own personal fights going, on the sideline.
Yeah, I think with these demos and stuff, whether it's for whatever demo, as long as it's to do with children, that's only when we need to pull together and maybe fight and stand as one. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean we're doing. I know you guys are doing a demo on the 31st of August. I've kept the tag on the bottom for you. Obviously, there's one on the 22nd in Nottingham as well. We're doing one on the 19th of September in Swinton, and I do one near enough. I do one every year in the same month with a couple of weeks difference from where my kids' birthdays are. But it's for everyone, united for the children. And, we put posts up there everywhere and we ask people to come forward with their groups, with their banners, with their logos, and that's what we do. We encourage everyone to bring their colours, to bring their banners, bring their flyers, posters, whatever they want to bring, and come and stand united as one. And the reason why we do Swinton, it started doing Swinton because it was the council that targeted me. We ended up having a bit of a battle with Swinton because we've had 2 kids from the care system actually turn up on 2 separate demos that we've done there. So, yeah, we're trying to get back there for the kids because we do end up having people turn up from different locations who are still currently within the system who are being targeted.
Yeah, it's just sad. It's just sad that in this day and age as well, that it still goes on and it's more prevalent now, isn't it? As in, we've got social media now. All right, I know the likes of the big medias like the national papers and like your TV channels like your BBCs and that don't kind of like promote it so much, but I think with forums it's easy to spread the word, isn't it? So you see more now, then you probably would. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, it's more accessible to research things now as well. So when people see these posts popping up, first thing they should be doing is doing some digging into it, finding out for themselves, and actually forming their own opinion on things.
yes, and that's the problem I think with a lot. They just read, say, maybe the headline and don't kind of like look into it more and kind of like make an ass judgment on something they probably know little about. And I think that's when the rot starts setting in and the poison starts setting in, doesn't it? Because you might get a person down the road go, oh, I don't know, this poor girl has been abused, but I don't believe her story because I've seen somewhere that it's not true or whatever.
In them cases, that's why it shows why it's even more important to come down and meet these people face to face.
Yes,
Actually get to see in their eyes and actually hear their own words.
but it's like you said though, you hit the nail on the head. There's enough research on these social media platforms to not even have to go down to the demo or down to a march prior to going down there. I mean, have a look. There's enough information out there to kind of like do your research, and like if you're adult enough to make your own decisions, and then go down to the demos and kind of like meet different people and get their thoughts on it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. We had a message put in earlier. I can't remember exactly where it was, but who was it from now? It was about the school. I'm going to see if I can find it. It was My Life, the YouTuber put it in.
Right.
They put another comment in earlier on, which is a valid one. So before I lose that one, I'll put that one up. Put in parents have been stopped in having control over their children, so then parents feel they have to allow children to do what they want. There are other ways to control your children. But where they're saying about stopping parents from having control over their children, it's 100% true. And I had to, the first 2 days of my daughter's life, it wasn't even 2 days, it was 2 weeks, sorry. 2 weeks of my daughter's life, I had to have 2 visits from a social worker and 2 visits, social worker or local authority, and then 2 visits from family member as well. From my daughter being 2 days old to 2 weeks old, I had to have that. And they'd come around every single time. So like to tell you that when your baby sleeps, you sleep.
Yes.
I had family members coming around and practically spending the day, so that in between visits, I could catch a couple of, an hour or half an hour kip, because they would try everything to push you to the edge and push you over so that you'd do something. The only way they ended up getting her in the end is because I never let anyone look after her. I had to be with her 24/7, so that they could never say that I would neglected her or anything like that. She used to come to court with me while I was fighting for my kid. And then on the 3-day finding of fact hearing, which is the second to last court hearing, they decided that I wasn't allowed to bring my daughter with me that time. Next day, after the 3-day finding of fact hearing, they came and took my daughter.
Do you know what's frightening is the fact that, when you're listening to your story and then you kind of like delve into, like you said, you go onto these groups and then you pull out all these other different groups and that. It's so sad that this stuff is still happening. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's crazy that it's even being allowed to be fair. I think, the two things that's angered me especially with the child abuse, especially with big, like we had the PM Boris Johnson saying, he's not looking into, it's a waste of time looking into historic abuse and stuff, and then you got that. I think it's Naz, but if somebody's on the forum and they can correct me on her name, then that's fine. But she was a Labour MP, and she made a comment about the Rotherham girls kind of like asking for it and stuff. And I'm thinking, well, if you powers of be and you're like our MPs and our Prime Minister that have got these thoughts, what the bloody hell's going on? Why are you not doing a lot more than you should, than you are doing?
Listen, you don't really hear much of MPs coming out. I mean, there was MP John Hemming that came out, but other than that, you don't really hear of many. You know,
No.
My life, she told me her name's Angela. Hi, Angela. She put in earlier, awareness for parents and children are needed, and it should be implemented into schools. And I think that's true. I think that it should be, because it's something that builds the community and shows the importance. Also, puts safeguarding in place for future children, really, doesn't it?
Well, it educates the child as well. I think, like we touched on with phones and stuff, it's all right to give a child a phone or a laptop, but they also need to be educated that there is people out there that are willing, more than willing, to do them harm. And that's the biggest problem on it, is that sadly the child are not all children are being educated properly, are they? I don't think.
No. Wake Up UK, Jason has put, what's your thoughts on homeschooling, good or bad in your opinion?
I agree with it. I agree with homeschooling. My son, he's 7 and mildly autistic, but he goes to main school. And since the lockdown and stuff, he's come on bundles. Like if you knew my son 6 months ago and then knew him now, if I could afford it or could do it properly, then I would educate him at home all the time, to be fair.
So I've got a strange opinion on this one, to be fair, because I've seen the benefits from it and I've seen the negatives. And I mean, I'm qualified in child welfare, child positive behaviour, child safeguarding, all that kind of jazz. And there's pros and there's negatives to it. I mean, the problem that you've got with homeschooling these days is parents need to work, and a lot of parents like working and like getting out there and everything. I don't like state schools. I think state schools are nowhere near what they used to be. I think they should be abolished. I think they're useless. I think we should be inventing something like a community school, like where it's practically homeschooling, but where you've got, genuine people who actually want to help kids, actually teaching kids, not brainwashing them, not putting false information into their heads. I want to see people coming together as a community. So like, there's a lot of people have got different qualifications with different things. A lot of people have got different talents. I'd love to do, if we could start together a community school around here for primary school kids or even high school kids, to actually give them some knowledge that'll help them in life. I'd happily teach German, or algebra, or something that that the community could come together to do. I think a community-based school instead of a state-based school would do kids and the world of good. I don't think realistically, during lockdown, homeschooling's got to be one of the best things ever. But there are a lot of people who haven't been doing it. There are a lot of kids who have gone off the rails because they've not had the structure. But there's a lot of kids who have benefited from it as well. And I think small community-based schools that can actually put the time into the students, I think that'd work.
Yeah, who was that person that made the comment? Sorry,
Jason from Wake Up UK.
Yeah, I think we're as concerned. I think you've got to weigh up. I think you've got to weigh up yourself as a parent on what you think. Like, we go back again on what you think's right for your child. Do you know what I mean? On if, like you've touched on it, if you've got the time to put in with your child as well, that's the most important thing. Do you know what I mean? You must. It's like anything else, isn't it? The child only gets out what you as a parent put in.
He's just put another comment up saying Children Matters Community School sounds like a fantastic idea. You know what? That might be something that we actually start to work on, to be honest, because I think it'd be something that would be great to do. And with having, with the rate that we fucking grow and having people in every town, it might be something that we might be able to pull off, in a couple of local towns.
Yeah, but don't you think it's like you said, everybody, it don't make a difference whether you're for a group or whatever you're fighting for. Somebody somewhere has got something to add. That's the 100%. Biggest thing. That's the biggest thing. Oh, and just before I forget, because he's going to tell me off if I don't mention him, Robert, and for the guys on Justice for All, Cannot thank you enough for all the hard work you're putting in, especially with this demo we're having down at Preston. So let's keep up the hard work and let's make this success. So he will tell me off if I don't mention his name. Bless him. So no, but yes, getting back to it. Yeah, well, that's something to always look into, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? The community school, because there's enough people out there, to be truthfully honest, to do something positive, isn't it?
That's what I mean. Well, it's like you can't isolate kids as well, neither. You know what I mean? And I think state schools put too much into that, where whether they mean to or not, state schools, they just get isolated from each other within them.
Yes, and you've got to look at what's going on behind the backgrounds as well, haven't you? Behind the back doors of all this as well, because something's not right. Not all schools are bad, not all, but the majority of them, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? Something's not right somewhere.
Jason's just made a comment which has actually just given me an idea on how we can actually bring this community school to life. Jason said, can you imagine 100 kids logging into a Zoom with you, Katie, to learn German? I didn't think about actually using the technology side of things to actually do this, but that'd actually work. I mean, even if it was a case of not just for kids, but putting something together for adults to learn something as well. I'm sure there's a load of people who've got the ability to teach something that we'd all be able to benefit from.
Oh, definitely. I think it's not just for the child either as well, is it? I think for the parents to be educated as well. That's a massive thing as well, because if the parents know it, then they can feed their child their information as well, can't they? Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. So I mean, it might even help some parents actually bond better with their kids as well. You know, if they've got something to learn together.
Yes, yeah, and it could be anything. To be fair, it could be literally anything. You could take a subject and make it something, can't you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've got a couple of weeks ago, I brought a friend of mine on from Germany, because I was in care myself over in Germany a few years ago, and care home down the road from mine. Obviously, I made friends with, I was about to say last then, a lad there. I've known him for a few years now, and yeah, he's half English, half German. His German's fluent as anything, because he's lived there since 2008. I have to remember them because he moved there the same year I did. He's been there since 2008, lived there ever since. But talking to him in English, you wouldn't know he was German unless he forgot a word. So, I mean, everyone's got something that they can do, and it'd be a way of actually bringing that community together as well. And even if it's just support work, because a lot of us, like what you do, what everyone with Justice for Ellie do, it might be a way of them helping get support there. You're teaching people how to support one another, teaching people how to do certain things, or even just, coming together to build a bit of a community.
Yes. And I think especially because all teachers are going through, say, university or wherever they're going through to get their education to teach, there's not that many jobs out there. They're not going to be filling all them jobs. So the possibility of a community school would would work better, to be fair.
It gives parents as well that bit of a break, doesn't it? Because a lot of people do like to work, or even if it's, because I know when I've got little money and doing campaign stuff, it's hard to juggle it sometimes, because when I'm doing lives, because he likes the camera, he has to stay upstairs. So we put a TV on upstairs, sort him some activities out upstairs so he's not bored and he's got plenty to do. And then I'll have a limit of how long I'll actually be on live for. And having like a community school, even if it is, for a couple of hours, just to, start things going, it could give parents that bit of a break as well, whether it's to learn something themselves or to teach the kids something.
Yes. Yeah, and it's like we said, like you said, the spider web. This is where it all comes into play, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean?
100%. It's like the amount of veterans that are coming forward now. I'm sure. Like I know for a fact, if my kids were here and could get involved with something like that, and there was soldiers involved teaching them whatever it is, I know for a fact my kids would be buzzing just to be sat talking to soldiers or learning from soldiers. So, I mean, it's all about the kids, isn't it? I mean, if there's anything we can do, and it'll help us all, hopefully, as groups unite as well.
Well, it educates us all, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? Even with the parents, it gives us that. It refreshes us, doesn't it, on certain things or certain topics we probably might have, say, forgot or have put to one side. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and if we're doing it online as well, it gives people the ability to work one-on-one with people, or with anyone who's got difficulties or anxiety or whatever with working in groups. It gives people that ability to work one-on-one as well.
Yes, yeah, for definite, and it's something that's not been thought of. To be fair, not until I don't think you've just mentioned it. I don't think
children matter like inventing shit.
Well, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. If it works, it works, doesn't it? It doesn't mean a difference where it comes from.
Did you ever hear of the digital demo?
No.
Well, when lockdown came in and everyone was getting fuming because there was no demos going on, but people couldn't travel or didn't want to travel or wanted to be safe, we thought, right, well, what better way to put a demo together than to use the internet? So we got Zoom up. We had 27 speakers lined up, where we had 22 actually speak, including Michael Tarriger, Alan Merritt, Jimmy the Hart. We had loads of people come forward, and it ran fucking smoothly as well. I came up with the idea 8 days beforehand.
Right, now you've just gave me an idea. Now, for some that might want to come and probably can't make it, let's say, for, health reasons for the Preston, but they still want to come, what about doing one for that?
It'd work. If we could get a couple of people lined up and speakers, get a poster done and a post put out there. I mean, it took us 8 days to put a digital demo together, and your demo isn't till the end of the month, so you got an entire month to do it. You could probably get about 30, 40 speakers lined up.
It's just something I just thought of, because I know through obviously messaging other groups and stuff, sadly there's a few that say have got disabilities or health issues that would love to come and can't come because of it, maybe because of transport or for whatever reason, for genuine reasons. So
well, what about doing it the day before? If you do it the day before the demo, you'll also have the people there watching and sharing on the day that you need to, that can't make it there, but give people the ability to give everyone for the day the boost and the momentum for the next day.
Yeah, is Robert still online? Robert, can you message in a minute?
Should be still on, because we still got the numbers on. But Robert, if you're there, can you send us a message, please? But,
yeah, because because that would be like an immense thing to happen if it does a day or 2 days before. That would only not just plug our event, but it would give the opportunity for people that possibly maybe can't come, that would love to come, and it means still getting the word out and still getting the message across, isn't it?
Yeah, if you do it the day beforehand as well, it gives people on the day that boost, give them the excitement and the energy boost for the next day, gives everyone the ability still to talk, but isn't on the day so it doesn't deflect. Robert's still in the comments as well, by the way.
Right, Robert, I don't know whether you heard what was said about the digital demos and stuff. I don't know what your thoughts may be on one, either before or during our demo for Preston, to get the people that maybe can't come because of health issues, maybe going live and doing one either there or 1 or 2 days before. What's your thoughts?
LA says we can definitely organise that. Great idea.
Cheers, LA. Would you be up for helping us with that?
I'll be able to, if you wanted, I could ask around the Children Matter admin as well, because with the admins looking standing strong at the minute, and with all the admin being from different groups as well, and all of them hell bent on fighting for the children.
Brilliant, excellent. Well, maybe like after this chat, then, if you've got time, then speak to Robert then, and maybe we can like talk amongst ourselves, maybe getting one sorted out. Are you happy with that?
I'm happy with that. I mean, if Robert, I don't know if you want to invite Ellie as well, but if they want to come on, obviously after we've ended the live, if they want to come and join us on this call outside of the live, because the link will still be available, then we can have a chat on that and see if we can help you out, because it'll give me the chance to put the event on the website as well for you.
Oh yeah, brilliant. So what's he just said?
He said, sounds good plan, guys. We can sort that out with chat with Katie as well. Awesome. Well, if you guys want, after the live, we can send you a link and you can come and join us in here.
Yeah, Ali, Robert, if you want to come, let us know now, and then I can stay online then, and we can probably sort something out then. And that'll be like
my life has said, can we have a Zoom meeting and put our ideas down and come up with something? Well, that's why I mean you'll be able to come and join us on this link, and we can have a chat and whatnot. Because I am going to put it on the Children Matter website, the event that's happening. I'm going to add the rest of them as well while I'm at it. But I want to get that event first on there.
That'd be like amazing, totally immense if we could do that. And it would just, like I said, it would just give people the opportunities, like I said, with health issues or whatever, that want to do something. At least we're not singling them out then, aren't we? We're including them, which is massive.
100%. I can actually show you a bit of our digital demo, to be honest. So I'll have a route for it, see if I can get it up. I'll mute it, obviously, so you don't get yeah, because it went on for a while. It was nearly 5 hours it went on for. So what I did is I got Thisiszeronews actually to face it for me.
Right, okay.
Because I had to do that many juggling around, because I was doing everything behind the scenes as well, and I was making sure I was phoning people, making sure that they were on the link, muted but ready, advanced for when they were going on. And yeah, it was a good day though.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it gets the word out, doesn't it? I think this is the biggest thing, and it doesn't make no difference how you do it, as long as you get the word out, and as long as it's spread far and wide. Who cares?
100%. I'm going to put found it, so I'm just going to put it on screen next to us, so it's up for. But I'm going to fast forward it a bit. So right, so this is Zero, who I asked to introduce everything. Obviously, if we skim through it a bit, I'm just going to keep dotting through it so you can see what I mean about the amount
of course, yeah.
But if you have a look at the bottom, I can't see under there, but 4 hours, 58 minutes it was on for.
That's amazing.
So they got me on first on it just because I was doing everything behind the scenes and I had to phone everyone. And if it was going to be midway through it, chances are I'd have been thrown off. But we had Sharon Binks from Justice for Women and Children come through.
Oh, amazing.
Bobby and Joseph Blair. We separated their slots because everyone had a 10-minute slot.
Right, gotcha.
We separated their slots, so they had 10 minutes at one point and 10 minutes at another point as well, but which worked out because the signal actually broke. That was where the signal broke.
That's amazing. You're gonna have to. So I'm still on. I'm just gonna go get a drink.
That's all right. Go for it. We had Tinky Jojo Bell come on and join us as well.
Right.
I think I missed someone. Oh, Jimmy the Hat was on as well. I think Jimmy came on later on though.
Oh, bless him.
We had Streets that you can see there, but we also had Vinnie Sullivan on as well, who was in the background. His name just pop up at some point. Yeah. I've lost my marker. We had Gary Hilson come and join us.
Oh my gosh.
Tracy McCarthy as well. And both of them together.
How did you manage to get all these people? Because obviously they're up for it, but how did you manage to get them all?
To be honest, they all pulled through more than me. All I did was put a post up there, asked a couple of the team members if they'd be coming to speak, put their names down as list of speakers, and just put a message at the bottom saying, if you want to get in touch and you want to speak, come, and get hold of us, come and speak to us, and we'll put you on the list. Because we had Smithy from London as well.
Jeez.
Jill, she spoke at the Manchester demo yesterday as well. There's our Jimmy the Art. A couple of the speakers, we didn't realise how long it was actually going to go on for. That's Michael Tarraga.
Oh, yeah, I know him.
Like, we didn't know how long the speakers were going to go on for, so a couple of the speakers had to go off because they had other engagements. So a couple of them did miss. Well, we did miss, unfortunately. Alan Merritt.
Oh, wow.
I think we had 22 speakers in total. Glenn
That's
Safford.
unreal, isn't it?
Sarah Ann from over in Ireland. Sarah Ann's just started doing a show last month, Truth and Justice, and she's starting a new show this month as well. So she's going to have two, one on Thursday at 2 p.m. and one on Friday at 1 p.m.
Sorry, what's her name?
Sarah Ann. I'll send you a link to her playlist on Children Matter.
Yeah, please.
You'll find her on our YouTube anyway. We've got Kenton, which is one of the Northern Ireland veterans.
Oh my God.
This is Robert Thompson. He's a forensic scientist. And we've got Bobby and Joe joining again. This time they were on separately, but together. We have Ash from Predator Awareness Pages. Big John. And my other half, Zach. At the end, obviously, a couple of people came on all together to say hello, everyone who was still left on. But for a stream that was nearly on 5 hours, I mean, that's just one of the pages that you can see. There were 2 pages that were still on. And yeah, after 5 hours, it was an accomplishment.
That's amazing just to pull off, isn't it? I ain't being funny. That's like massive.
I'll have a look. I don't even know how many people have seen it, to be honest. 1,233 views.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. So we've actually got the list there of how many people were supposed to be talking. So there was 1, 2, 3. There were 5 people that dropped out by the end of it. One of them weren't well. One of them was having tech issues. One of them had, 2 of them had family commitments, which ran into their time, so they had to jump off. And another one had problems actually getting onto the stream. But other than that, I mean, we didn't think I was going to be able to pull something off like that. And the first time, 8 days after, I'm pretty proud of it, to be fair.
Yeah, for definite. Because I'm not being funny. There's no way I would have thought of something like that, to be fair. So you've just lit a light bulb in my head. Because that's like...
Well, it'll be a good way of actually boosting, like, your numbers for everything. And I don't mind hosting it for you. I don't mind running everything from the background. I've done it once before, and I'm a bloody OCD when it comes down to making sure everything's on point. So as long as I've got names of everyone I can get hold of, I can pester people to make sure they're on time as well.
Yeah, what we'll do then is after this, definitely, if Robert's game to come on, I don't know whether he's answered or not, but if he's game to come on.
Looking now. Yes, he said he's in.
Oh, tidy. So is LA coming in or not? Just Robert?
I mean, if you want, I can put the link in the group chat. Are they in the messenger on both of them?
Yeah. Should be, yeah. Yes.
Right, if they're both in there, then I can just put them straight into that.
Well, anybody else who wants to come in, to be fair, it's amazing meeting like the likes of yourself and like especially with the different kinds of people I've met, especially since joining with Robert and that, and then you start looking into more and then getting to know people and their stories and what their ideas are. It's quite surprising, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And it's important, I think, to hear stories like yourself. There's a couple of, I think I've got 3 on the second group that are from America. One's in New York, one's in Florida, and Arizona, I think that the other lady's from. And 2 of them are victims, and one is a child advocate. And so it's amazing, like even being abroad, like listening to their stories on how they come through it. Do you know what I mean? And where they are in their lives now after everything that's happened. And it gives you that encouragement, doesn't it, to want to do more, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like Jason said he's going to give me a call after this, and I'll give him a call after we've started the fucking this. To be fair, everyone's been asking since the first digital demo when the next one's going to be, and I can't think of a better cause to do the second one for than doing it for, you know, a Justice for Ellie, a voice for Ellie.
I think, to be fair, I think it would, if we can get it up and running, get it thing, I think it would be like immense, just because, like I said, just because it would give opportunities for people that can't make it for whatever. They can dip in and out whenever they want to. Do you know what I mean? It spreads the word. That's all I care about, is spreading the word.
100%. Well, I mean, if you guys are all right with it and you're happy for me to help, the platforms that I've got and the streaming technology I've got, I can get out on 6 different platforms at the same time. Like this stream that we're doing now is going out to 5 different platforms. And obviously, just one stream. You know, don't have to do anything. All I do is make sure that I've got the screens open. So I've got VK on my phone, watching on one app. I've got Facebook here on one screen, and I've got YouTube here on the other screen. The only one I'm not monitoring is my personal YouTube. The only one I'm not monitoring at the minute, but that's because I know that everyone will probably be flocking over to this one.
So maybe then I can, especially on one of the speakers, then maybe I can get one of the ladies from maybe America then to see if they're still up on the time, and maybe join in on that conversation.
So it'd be amazing. It'd be mint.
I'll message you, because I know one. She's like you. She's very much like you, to be fair, in every way. By what I've seen on your videos and seen how you are today, she's exactly like you. So I'll message her later and see if she'll be up for it. I think she would. So I'll try and blackmail her into doing something.
But
It'd be worth
one of the YouTubers has said he'd love to be there, but travel is a problem. Oh, this is why we're talking about doing the digital demo the day beforehand, to give people who genuinely can't get down there for whatever reason the ability to have their say, speak out, or even just be there to support.
There is something I would like to plug, though, just for anybody that's listening and maybe cannot come because of traveling. If they're in a certain area and they don't mind car sharing, then maybe we can sort it out where we can pick people up if they're in that same area. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Well, this is why it's important to network and to bond when we are at demos as well, because it creates that unity as well. Like with the Nottingham demo, I mean, if I hadn't have networked and, you know, connected and tried building that community with a couple of the veterans and a couple of different causes, then I probably wouldn't be able to get down there. I'd be struggling to get down there. So this is why it's important when you are there to just be yourself, just network, do your bit for rebuilding the community, and it'd be awesome.
Yeah, and to be fair, my thing is, if you don't ask, you don't know. So if there's anybody that's out there listening to this now and they're thinking, oh, I can't go because I'm from a certain area, if they message the Justice for All or SACA or any of the groups, I'm sure there's people that would kind of like put you in the right direction, and maybe we can sort lists out. I know I have sorted a couple of people out for lists from the same area. So, you know, that's another possibility as well.
100%. And we are family. We do work together. I mean, one of the things I always say is we may not be related through blood, but we are related through trauma. You know, yes. And it counts. Not everyone gets along with every member of their family. Oh, I guarantee that not everyone gets along with every single member of their family, and that's why the campaign is a family. Because we do have the oddballs in there. We do have the weird uncles that sit in the corner and rock themselves to sleep. You know, we do have the awesome cousins and brothers and sisters that we like, you know, taking the mick out of them, hanging out with. You know, we are a family, and it's important that we actually stand together as a family.
And I think for say, like with all the groups that are out there, for maybe one or two you might not get on with, there might be 3 or 4 that you actually do gel and bond with. Do you know what I mean? This is what you've got to look at it. And unless you put yourself out there and start mixing with people and having your say, then you ain't never going to know, are you? You're still going to be sat at home thinking, oh, I wish I did that, or I wish I did this.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Someone just put a comment in, sorry, Bad Attitudes put a comment in saying, does a social distancing in a car mean someone has to sit on the roof? And then Jason's followed that up with another comment saying, yay, roof surfing.
But no hope with some, is there, to be fair?
They can't help it. They really can't. I've got a moderator, Great Brit. Like, it's absolutely amazing bloke. You know, salt of the earth, bends over backwards. You know, he's done my intros for me and the rest of the team. You know, it's absolutely amazing. And he moderates for a couple of different admin as well. But when he's on, normally he has to take the micker out of me somehow. Luckily, he's not on. Knowing my luck, he'll pop up in a minute, but he's not been on to take the mix. He normally throws me off all the time. He makes it his mission to throw me off, and he's good at it.
It's like with the, pardon me, it's like with the Justice. We got Ale, Joanne, Angela, and Robert. They're all of them are headers, all of them. So there's no sense with any of them, really, to be fair.
It's better than some of the conversations that you get out of them, though. Jason on Wake Up UK is normally bad at provoking them.
Well, to be honest, you got to have a banter. It's such a sad a topic to talk about or discuss. You must have a banter with it to break it up, haven't you, as well?
100%. I mean, if you've never met the Blair brothers, Bobby and Joseph Blair, and see them outside of a demo, the jokes that they come out with, you're sat there cringing because, you know, they're joking about part of their abuse that they went through, some of the worst part of their abuse, but you're laughing because of how funny what they're saying is. And how they're coming out with it as well. And it's just, you just sat there like, but you have to laugh. And they always turn around and say, if you don't laugh at it, it'll break you.
I was going to say, do you think that's their mechanism of actually coping with it, isn't it?
But yeah, I mean, I do the same thing about bits of my abuse. I mean, there's some areas I won't, go near, but that's because I'm still working on them myself. But I mean, I laugh and joke about some of my abuse that I went through because, I mean, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. And a lot of the time that's the case. I mean, if I'm in my worst phase, worst moods, whatever, baddest situation, whatever, and I can make someone else smile, that'll make me feel a little bit better. Even if it's only fucking a microscopic amount that makes me feel better. It's better than me upsetting someone else, for them to get upset, for then me to feel worse about myself after. When I could just put on a face, put on a smile, have a laugh with someone, and at the end of the day, at least I'll be able to sleep knowing that I've cheered someone else up, made someone else smile, and I've not hurt someone's feelings just because I've been in a bad mood.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you can cope with it in maybe the situations you've come across in your life, then it gives that maybe the other victims that are watching or have been through trauma or been through something serious and bad, it gives them that little bit of spark as well, knowing that there is somebody out there that's been through what they've been through and is doing their best to maybe cope with it, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And Jason's put a comment in saying, don't take life too seriously. None of us get out alive. And as sad as it is, it's true. Everyone has to die someday, so it is true. Why not make the most of it while you can, even if you are going through a rough time? It's like when I was at Ellie's court case, I think it was last month or the month before. There was girls stood at the road with the signs, and they were having a boogie and everything, getting cars to honk the horns. And I said to them after, I said, fucking good on you. You can keep the momentum going like that. You can keep the energy going like that, especially with something like this. Fucking good on you, because it gets people involved. It keeps the momentum going. It keeps the energy high, and it gets people involved. It's amazing.
Yes.
Like, it's amazing seeing you have to do it. I mean, we've been through the worst already. Why not, give ourselves the chance to smile, even if we have to fake it? Fucking fake it till it happens.
Yes, and the thing is as well though, if you're at a demo or a march or even a protest, and you're having a laugh and a joke as well as discussing something serious, you'll normally, I don't know, 9 out of 10, you'll normally get that person walking by, and people cannot help it. Their ears prick up and they want to know what you're talking about. And that kind of like makes a difference. Even if they just take a little bit of information away from it, hopefully they will go back and look into, oh, I wonder what they were discussing, or I wonder what they were laughing at. Do you know what I mean? It gives
Yeah.
that person out in the community as well, thinking, well, if they're at a demo laughing and joking and doing this and this, maybe let's look into it and see what all the fuss is about. See what they're what they're talking about, which doesn't happen very often, does it? It doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. It's sad to see, but at least people are starting to see it now. And it's starting to happen now.
I think it is. I think, especially with the groups and that now, the groups are gathering momentum now, isn't it? I think people are waking up slowly now, aren't they? I think, and the more groups, the more we're shouting about it, and the more we're talking about it, then I would rather do that to make them aware, to make them sit up and take notice. So where do we go from here then? What's your thoughts on what will happen, on what your outtake on things happening now then? We'd like the likes of Helly and so forth.
Oh, I think if the groups are genuinely starting to unite, and if it happens, I think it's not going to be too much longer before we start changing the system, like on a genuine level, or at least getting some things changed. I think if the groups don't start genuinely uniting and actually stepping up and stepping together, united shoulder to shoulder, then we're just going to keep going around in circles until more and more children have been wiped off the face of the planet. And we need to get, yeah.
I think it is slowly. I think you will always, sadly in life, you'll always get one or two groups that maybe are not interested. They just want to do it on their own, and that's it.
Yeah.
But I think the last maybe 2 weeks now, I've noticed a change now, especially with once you start approaching different groups and saying that we are doing this or we are about this. What are your thoughts? Are you interested in what we're doing? It's surprising how many groups, especially, have come back to me and said, well, we've not heard about you before, or we've not heard about the demo. Yes, we're more than definitely promote you, and we'll definitely look into what you're about and what you're doing, you know?
I mean, we've seen it for the last 4 years. We've seen people do like groups saying that they're going to look into us, that they're going to help us, that they're going to come this, there, and everywhere. You know, some of them have done after time. Some of them we're still waiting for. But I mean, one of the beauties about being child focused and being, parent based is we have a lot of patience.
To be honest, I'm just a pain in the ass. I'll just keep banging. I'll just keep sending them like about the march and about the demo and about what we are about. I will keep sending them until they start acknowledging me. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to waste any time on doing it. I got plenty of time going on. Do you know what I mean? I can do it 24 hours if I've got to. It's not affecting me. So if it means one person out of them 27 groups that are waking up and spreading the word, then I'm happy. Do you know?
100%. By the way, sorry, I keep looking down. I've got an admin that's also trying to log into StreamYards because it's logged him out. So I'm waiting for a code and sending him the code and everything as well. So I do apologise.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just getting used to it myself, you know. No, we got to keep doing it, haven't we? We've got to keep talking about these cases. We've got to keep plugging what we are about. We've got to keep plugging on where we want to go, where we see the future of these groups, what we would love to happen and changed, aren't we?
Yeah.
You know, it's so important because we can forget about it. And like you said, how many more innocent children in this country, forget about the rest of the world at the minute, but how many more children in this country has got to be abused and neglected before we suddenly wake up?
Well, we've already had too many of them, to be fair. So it's about
Exactly.
time people started waking up, because there's already too many kids that have suffered from it.
Yes, to be fair, one's too many, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's how people got to look at it. One's too many. Sadly, you can never stop it. My wish would be for all of it to stop, to be fair. But sadly, you will always have people out there that think it's acceptable and think it's right to do, and that's the sad part about it is. But it's like you said, if you could change one thing, it's better than not changing anything, isn't it?
100%. Robert's just put in the strong, real groups will follow through. The wrongs will fade. I will stand tall with you all if you stand with me. And it's 100% true. I mean, I've been saying this for a while myself, that, the groups that aren't genuine, they get found out, they get realised, they start to willow away. And the good people within those groups that were following them and supporting them, that are genuinely looking for the right places, they'll find us eventually. And the bad groups will just, they will just dwindle away. And the way I see it is, if you stand for the kids, then you already stand with us and we already stand with you.
It's like we was touching on. I think we were touching on it before, or maybe at the beginning of this, that it boils down to you as a person, isn't it? It boils down to what you class as right and wrong. There's no middle ground in it. And my outlook in it, as sad as it may sound, and people on this forum we're talking on now might not agree with what I'm about to say, but to be fair, I really don't care. You either agree with supporting these causes and supporting our children, or you don't. And if you don't, then I find that there's something wrong somewhere,
But
because
I can tell you what, everyone that follows Children Matter will 100% agree with you.
I could blatantly come out and say, you either agree with it or you don't. And if you don't agree with it, then you support the perpetrators. And to me, that's how I look at it. There's no grey areas for me. If you can't support your child, then you support the bastards that are arming them. And for me, that's enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need support, and we need voices. People need to wake up.
100%. If we don't stand up for the children, who do we stand for?
Exactly. And my thing is, if you don't stand up, or you might think that this cause is a waste of time, or you might think this cause will never succeed to anything, then the people that are thinking this need to ask themselves these questions. One, while you're thinking about them thoughts, think about the child that are being abused. Think about the pain that child's going through. Think about the hurt, the rape, the pain, the how they're being frightened. And if you're not prepared to stand up for that and be counted, then you're not a parent, and you're not a human being, as far as I'm concerned, at all. Period.
I agree with you. Oh, don't forget, everybody. We've been on for an hour and a half, so I'm gonna wrap up. Yep. I'm gonna send the link out for everyone else to join as well.
Thank you ever so much.
Honestly, it's been amazing having you on. Don't forget, everyone, 31st of August, Preston Town Hall. Sorry, not Crown Court. Preston Town Hall at 12 o'clock. So if you can be there, be there. A couple more demos as well in the meantime. 22nd of August is one. Then 19th of September. But this one, don't forget to get to 31st of August.
Let's get them voices out, and let's get the noise going. Let's start waking up. Enough's enough.
100%. Thank you so much, Chris, for joining me today. You're an absolute legend.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you.
Bye, guys.